Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 12th of May, and this is Indexer Office Hours 257. Welcome to all of those who have joined us today for the first time. It's good to see you, and also welcome back to our regulars today at IOH. This is the town square where graph ecosystem participants come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexes. And so, as always, as I like to say, this is a conversation and we do love participation. So feel free to get involved in today's conversation via voice or text. And of course, if you have any challenges with your microphone, do let me know and I'll try and figure that out for you. We also have the text box in the corner there as well. As a reminder, this session is going to be recorded and posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you are concerned about privacy, just bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's regularly scheduled repo watch section. So I normally hand off to Carlos, and but today we're going to hand off to Juan, who will be taking over.
Hey. Whoa. Nice intro, as always. Okay. Yeah, Carlos couldn't be here, unfortunately, but I'm here. So let's start with the execution layer clients. There are quite a lot of things to update on. First, we have Oregon 3.4.1, which includes a critical seg fault fix impacting stability. This is a red urgency, so operators should upgrade immediately to avoid operational disruptions. Then we have Geth 1.17.3, which is a maintenance release, but features significantly updates for the Amsterdam fork, including some breaking changes to tracing APIs and several EIPs, like gas costs and state management. So in order to ensure compatibility, this is a red urgency update because of the breaking API changes and Amsterdam fork updates, and also to ensure compatibility with the new client specifications. Then we have Firehose Ethereum, which has it's a yellow urgency update, which changes the health probe, being removed in favor of HTTP Health C endpoints, which are now available on specified ports. Additional server optimizations and important metrics enhancements were introduced also, improving overall performance and reliability. Again, yellow urgency, so whenever you can and have some time, please do update. Then we have Arbitrum Nitro 3.10.0, which adds some stability improvements and which are mandatory for Arbitrum Sepolia chain operators ahead of ARV-OS 60 RC5 activation on May 18th. If you are non-compliant with this, this will impact syncing capabilities, so it's a red urgency upgrade. Then we have consensus layer clients, Nimbus 26.5.0, which enhances performance in a couple of things: 60% boost in KCG operations and 40% boost in data column storage efficiency. This is a yellow urgency update because it's quite important for performance improvements and compatibility fixes. Then we move to the graph stack, which has a couple updates, mainly on the indexer agent. There's some for the indexer agent TypeScript version, which is 0.25.10, which has a couple of PRs. Amongst them, there are some to update the agent version links, create some index for tap receipts, add some workflow dispatch triggers, and many more. For indexer service and tap agent for Rust RS, there are some updates to both of them, indexer tap agent and indexer service RS, which both of them remove the B1 escrow. And then there are no updates for Launchpad. So that's pretty much it for Repo Watch. And moving on to Protocol Watch, we do also have a few things to cover. First of all, we have two GRCs, which are GRC 007, as in James Bond, Compass, which is a decentralized subgraph MCP gateway on Horizon, and then there's GRC 008 Seahorn, which is a Solana structured data service on Horizon. All of those are, given that they are GRCs, they're pretty lengthy. I think Petco, you're involved in them, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're interested in any of those, they are available in the forum and they are linked in the agenda. Then we have some updates for, this is the 𝗨𝗂𝗪51, because most of the discussion has been on 𝗨𝗪51, but it's essentially the same discussion for 𝗨𝗪50, 51, 52, 53, and 54, because they're all related. It's essentially dispute against P2P because of some data inconsistency issues on the POIs for Avalanche chain and a bunch of subgraphs that were related to Avalanche. We are investigating the situation. There has been a lot of interesting information by both the fisherman and the disputed indexer. We will be providing a response soon, but it has been quite an interesting discussion, because it's more of like a really particular edge case of the charter. We will be providing a full response soon, probably today even. But mostly it does look like everyone's well behaved. There wasn't any malice in the either in the dispute or in the behavior for the indexer. So we're pretty confident in it that it's going to have a good resolution. Then for firm research, we don't have any new updates. For the contracts repository, there's quite a lot of contracts updates. Most of those, PR updates. Most of those PRs are just PRs that are being closed. So probably there were a lot of things that were going behind the scenes that need to be closed or that were open for too long. There are also some short PRs like bumping some dependencies and some post-indexing payment audit. And no network subgraph updates. So that's pretty much it. Handing over to Abel now.
Alrighty. We've got a couple of questions here. Yeah, applause to Juan for taking those sections there, both of them. Thank you, sir. So we've got a question here. Anyone from the foundation replying to that as being interested or just shooting a breeze of ideas? Okay, so seems like Petco's responded to that. So we'll leave that in the chat there. Okay, amazing. So we have the good fortune of having the one and only Orion Slim, also Orion, also known as Slim, who's going to be talking to us about liquid staking and a few updates on the roadmap as well. So by all means, feel free to take it away, Slim.
Thank you. And I did ask Abel before if I had already had this presentation for IOH. If any, neither of us did remember me doing this presentation.
I can't seem to hear Slim. Is it just me, or is anyone else experiencing that as well? Oh, you guys can hear him. Okay, so my issue. I will fix that.
Well, if any of you recognize this presentation, do feel free to stop me, and I'll jump straight into the more the in detail what's happening right now on liquid staking. I do know Petco, Josh, potentially a couple of others here have seen this presentation on an internal call, but outside of that, I do think that this is new for IOH. So I'm going to share my screen. And as always, just feel free to stop me if you have any questions along the way, and if not, I'll make some room for Q&A towards the end as well. Everyone, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see everything.
Can I do it? Cool.
Nice slides, by the way. I like the design.
Thank you. So this is what I'll be going through, the value that it brings to the protocol. We are working with a partner called 𝗨𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗪, and we'll give a few words around why we chose them, the architecture, fees and revenue, interoperability, and risk factors, and some key dates, and then I'll leave some time for Q&A. One of the key points is that we do see that having a liquid staking initiative will drive more usage to the GRT token. More of that token will be locked into delegation, reducing the circulating supply. It can be used in DeFi, creating stronger and more durable demand for the token. We can use it to improve incentive alignment by choosing what we look for when we are choosing which indexes to work with. So this could be, for example, indexes will get a delegation from the liquid staking pool if they are broadly supporting a chain. So that, for example, instead of having 10 indexes that are each supporting 4 different chains, and but only supporting a few subgraphs on each, it would be a lot more efficient if 5 indexes choose 2 chains, and 5 indexes choose another 2 chains. And using the liquid staking initiative, we can better coordinate off chain on where the value is added to the web network, and we can move away from the current sticky delegation, where a lot of the delegation is centered around a few large indexes, and we can try to distribute the stake more evenly or more according to the value that each individual indexer is providing in the network. And it can also be used for a more predictable and longer term sustainable environment for indexes. So I know that several indexes have been afraid of losing their one big delegator, knowing that every morning they could wake up to a delegation of 20, 30, 40 million GRT, and it is no longer profitable for them to run an indexer on the graph. And in this case, we could act as a backstop even for large indexes that are already having more than sufficient delegation. We could act as a backstop there, and that could also allow indexes to focus more on improving their quality of service instead of marketing for delegation. Foundation agility and non-treasury compensation. By that I mean using delegation as a coordination lever. For example, we could say give a delegation to people that are maintaining community tools. So, for example, GraphScan or Lodestar or other community tools, instead of using Foundation Treasury to fund development of these kind of tooling. We can use Foundation delegation from that liquid staking pool. And lastly is to reduce complexity for delegators post Horizon. Once we have more than one data service, delegators will need to not only choose what indexes to delegate to, but also what service that indexer has available. And so it's certainly a matrix of possibilities, and we already see delegators struggle with choosing what indexes to select. So with liquid staking, we can abstract away that choice and have one Foundation managed liquid staking pool. And the added benefit there is that I've been in touch with some centralized exchanges, some wallet providers, including hardware wallet providers, and some asset managers that are all interested in enabling GRT staking. And it's not really feasible with the current complexity of our staking protocol. But being able to, one-click delegate from your hardware wallet, or from or working with again centralized exchanges that can enable a staking product, could be very valuable. So So the team that we are working with to achieve this is 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. They've been around since, I believe, 2018. For anyone that knows 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, Sebastian used to work on a team called 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, but back then it was called 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Protocol. And 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀/𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, Protocol, they have the same founders as 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. They're working like tightly together with 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. And 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is also the ones that are maintaining the contracts that we will be using in this. So 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀🗀 is the operations side. 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 will be the ones that are like doing the smart contracts for it. And it would allow us to work directly with strong institutional investors right off the bat. They already have the legal and compliance and operational setup needed to work with them. They have been working in DeFi for a long time as well, so they are very familiar with the combination of like institutional finance and DeFi. So I think that makes us very well positioned to get large delegation from that market. They are fully non-custodial, or everything is on chain, transparent and verifiable, and I think that's the best team that we found to work with on a liquid staking initiative. So the liquid staking initiative does have 3 parts to it that are separate, but we are all thinking of it as enabling DeFi with the GRT token. Part 1 is the liquid staking vault, where people can deposit GRT and they get STGRT in return, which is a liquid token. And from that vault, the foundation will make some rules on who to delegate to and who to undelegate from. And 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is the one that will be like doing the delegation and undelegation and rebalancing as we go. So that this is like the core part of the liquid staking initiative. The STGRT is that you're getting in return, that the value of that will increase over time. So that will be the reward bearing token, a liquid reward bearing token. We'll also later set up a liquidity pool where people can instantly swap between the staked GRT and liquid regular GRT. And there's a stray arrow here. Ignore that in the upper right, but it's the third part is a Morpho lending vault that we'll set up so that people can deposit their staked GRT and get the USDC, which in turn can also be added to the Morpho vault. You can add more USDC to generate yield on your USDC as well. There will be a 10% like management fee in the vault, which is in line with industry norms. I don't think it will be like scaring away a lot of delegators. If the current APY is 15%, if they directly delegate to an indexer, for example, that would be 13.5% if it's going through the vault. But in turn, the vault will be fully managed. It will be swapped in and out between different indexes as we see by like value created and APR and a lot of other parameters that we'll look at. And again, it will not have any like impact on protocol side. This all happens through the current protocol contracts. and it will be fully compatible with Horizon. The vaults that we are setting up, there's no auditing needed or protocol changes. Doesn't restrain how we deploy new data services in the future. When we do, we can. Currently, we will set it up with the Graph Foundation being able to add new data services, and that could also we could set it up so any new data service is compatible. Right now, it's one single contract call where we allow more data services, but this could be changed in the future if we see a large influx of new data services. And cross-chain delegation is also something that is natively supported by via some upcoming changes to the _Enzym contracts. So the contracts in the liquid staking vault, they will allow cross-chain delegation in the beginning from Ethereum and Base, but they're also exploring like other networks such as Solana. So we could allow people that are having the GRT on other networks to just instantly delegate one click instead of having to bridge, then select an indexer, then select the data service on that indexer, and then potentially like do that 5 times over if they want to do it multiple indexes. This would be like a one-click delegation from their native chain. There's some risks that are known. There's some smart contract risk, but it's mitigated by using very well tested and long-running contracts. So we're using Enzym Onyx and Morpho Blue are the contracts, and then we will have a liquidity pool, which most likely we will be going with the Uniswap V3 pools, but these are contracts that are audited and used like primitives that are used across the entire Web3 space. And there's no impact to core protocol contracts. As I mentioned, there's no need to make any changes on the core protocol. This all sits on top of it. On centralization risk, it would of course also allow the foundation more levers to pull. So that's also something to just keep in mind, is that we need to be mindful of what we do with the delegation and how that is distributed to ensure that the protocol continues to be open and fair and permissionless. But at the same time, I think it's a like the double edge, right? Where I think having a single coordinator can allow us to achieve more than what delegation is achieving today, where we have a lot of sticky delegation across the top 5, 6. I think currently the top 6 indexers control 50% of the stake. So given that we have so the remaining 96 indexes are controlling the rest of the stake. So there's always a liquidity and market risk when it comes to these pools. We are doing a lot of like manual checks, a lot of monitoring when it comes to GRT pricing to ensure that it doesn't like impact the vaults, and all of our vaults are priced directly in GRT. So that mitigates a lot of the risk compared to like other liquid staking initiatives. Could for example be pricing the token in USDC, and if there's an issue with the oracle, that could lead to like liquidations and other downstream risks. But in our case, it's a smaller risk. And then there's also we also of course monitoring any operational or execution risk. That's why we chose the team of 𝗨𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀, as they have a very long track record of 8 years of working in the space. So, and these are the key dates. So that this was the first one is meant to be July. July the 3rd is the private launch of the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗂𝗪 vault. That's when we'll start to see that and ensure everything looks good. And we are aiming to have a public launch on the September the 3rd. And around the same time and before that, I'll be at IOH and I'll be presenting a way for indexes to apply to be part of that delegation program. And October 3rd is when we'll create the liquidity pool, and December 3rd the Morpho vault. So we'll build out this like the DeFi side throughout the year, but September 3rd, that's the big date for indexes and community members. I would say Abel has a question on when I would come to the IOH to discuss it. So I would say we probably need at least like one dedicated session on the public launch of the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗂𝗪 vault around a month before. So August of like beginning of August is when we should have a session, and at that point, maybe even earlier, at like end of July, I should have the parameters for how we choose the indexes that will be part of the liquid staking initiative. And I would like to come to IOH to discuss those and have time to incorporate feedback. And then once we have locked down those parameters, or at least the starting parameters, it may be good to have a call to action on IOH to let everybody know that they can apply to become an indexer in that delegation program and how they do it. And yeah, and it would probably be a longer session in late July where we discuss everything, and then a quicker session in early August. So maybe 15 minutes in early August, but have the full at least like 30 to 40 minutes in late July. And on the liquidity pool and Morpho vault, I feel there's less. It impacts indexes in fewer ways than the public launch of the vault itself, since that this is more for the delegators, and the public launch will be both delegators will need some info as well as indexers, so they can apply and become an indexer in that program. And that is what I had so far. We are launching the contracts this week, and we'll be setting up all, like the back end, the monitoring, logging, everything that is needed over the next few weeks until the end of June, early July is when we will have our private launch. So market race. So that is where I would love to come at the end of July and present some proposed parameters or proposed algorithms for how we choose indexes, but it would not be like purely algorithmic. I think it would need to be an application process as well, simply because we think that the ability to do some off-chain coordination to, for example, say these networks should be indexed by this indexer and these networks should be indexed by this indexer. Very valuable to do that kind of off-chain coordination, and that would be harder to do like purely algorithmically. Yeah, Linanova. Yeah, I see that. I understand that. That's. I'll try to be better at sharing any information both in the Discord channels as well as IOH and the forum too. It's you have requested it, and so has multiple other indexes. So I'm happy to do that, and yeah, it would still be valuable to have a live session just so we can go a bit back and forth, and so that we can clarify if there's anything that is unclear and make some progress. But I'll make sure that both the initial proposed criteria are posted in Discord as well as the call to actions when we have locked down the criteria. And I see, Abel, you also had a question about the dates. I think that could work. That's but maybe just you and I could coordinate towards the end of July if I'm able to get the criteria done earlier, like if I have them ready by like end of June, or we could also do it earlier in July, and that would give indexes more time to look at the criteria and come with feedback, and we would need to, lock it all down in the course of a week. So happy to do it earlier. So just if those criteria are ready. Also going back now to see if there's any questions I missed earlier.
Petka was asking, he wants to get access to the private launch.
Yeah, it depends on how many how much GRT we will be working with during the private launch. It could be that we are just having a small amount, and in that case we would probably not like make a large like make any large campaigner out of it. But if we get an indication that it will be like a larger amount, then we will be sure to just share that with the community so that people can join and give some feedback and potentially get some of that delegation. If you meant on the indexer side, how to be part of the private launch and get a delegation. Is Rem here on this call, by the way, or Samuel?
They're both coming next week. They're going to be doing a talk on the ISA, and then also sharing updates on REO and stuff. But yeah, not on this call today.
Cool. I would defer to them to get the current status of the dips and the REO. I know there was some bugs that were found and some new bugs that require another hopefully short round of audits. So yeah, I don't have any status update out of that. So any other questions on the liquid staking initiative before we wrap up that topic?
Yes, Josh has asked a question in the chat here. Yeah.
Oh. So how is the foundation considering LSE as a success or not going forward? What are the main things we are hoping to see? the easiest parameter to look at is the amount of GRT staked in the liquid staking initiative, and we are targeting we are hoping for we have some internal targets that we are working towards when it comes to working with centralized exchanges, asset managers, and wallets. And we also have some internal targets when it comes to capturing some of the like the native influx of GRT through 𝗨𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗀, and hoping that this would allow people to delegate to something that is more stable. We've seen over the past year, there's been a net outflow from the 𝗨𝗀 staking, and this could potentially also be more of a managed solution that could be more sticky than inside a protocol, than indexes that are potentially changing their parameters, or some of them have been leaving and so on. We know that once an indexer leaves, there's a very high likelihood that all the delegators are staying. So yeah, and some I know the sticky GRT is sometimes considered bad when it's sticking to large indexes that were selected early on, and that is just amassing a lot of GRT. As I mentioned, 50% of all GRT is going to 6 indexes. But in this case, it would be a pool that would be distributed among like many indexes. So I think in this case we would want the staking pool to grow over time. But yeah.
Do you have a link to the presentation?
I can share one with you after the call. I do think I have a I do think I have one, but it's an outdated version. This one has a lot of speaker notes with some internal info. So
Got it.
I can give you a link to a sanitized version.
No stress. I just wanted to have a look at it now, but yeah, no stress.
Is there any slide I should scroll to? I can scroll to if there's anything in particular you had any questions about.
Yeah, let's look at the system architecture.
These are all like on chain. They are all like independent in a way, but they are intended to work in concert. And it is specifically the core. This is the core part. This is where 90% of our costs will be, and this is also where we expect most of the focus and the value generation for the protocol to happen. Is on the first part, and the vault that would delegate and undelegate. But we see the liquidity pool as being a major unlock for like smaller holders that want to, that flexibility of knowing that they can at any point swap out of GRT. We can do some like other options for larger entities like centralized exchanges. We can look into larger options for them to swap in and out of GRT. And then on the last part is the Morpho vault, where it's as I said, like people can lend their STGRT for USDC, or like borrow USDC against STGRT. Is I guess the right way to say it.
Yeah, makes sense. There's a question here from Enson saying, you mentioned the management fee, I believe. Can you touch on it again? I didn't hear all of it. It's a 10% fee as far as.
Yeah, it's a 10% fee. We have the possibility, so that's a 10% of the revenue generated. So not a 10% of your delegated stake. For you as an indexer, you would have any fees on your side. So this would be for the delegators. If they delegate 100,000 GRT and you have 10% APY, they would earn 10%. 10%, and say you as an indexer take 10% of that, the net would be 9,000, and when that is going to be paid out back to that delegator, there would be another like 10% of that is taken by the pool, so that would be 900. If that makes sense. So in this simple example, the APY generated would be 10%. Indexes would take 1% as the 10% fee, like reward cut fee, bringing it down to 9%, and then the pool would take a 10% of that, so bringing it down to 8.1% APY, which is very much in line with and lower than most other like management fees in Web3. So we do think that's a fair middle ground where we would allow the liquid staking initiative to sustain itself over time, because there's some costs here related to the management of the pools and the monitoring and the maintenance of the contracts and so on. And with this, our hope, and again coming back to Josh's question, our immediate goal there is to have enough delegation that the pool breaks even, where the cost of implementation, management, and everything else is breaking even. That could be a natural goal, but we also do think that the structural demand for the token could increase by locking more GRT and making GRT more attractive to use in DeFi, and that could also pay for itself by having more value and more locked tokens and more value accrual to the token itself. So given that the foundation is very much GRT aligned, I think that would be also be a goal in itself. So.
Awesome. Do we have some time for some quick roadmap updates?
I think the closest there to the roadmap is the rewards eligibility oracle and dips. Those two are the ones coming up in short order, and I would defer to Rem there. So I think it would be better to have him give like a quick status update when he's back next week. And then on 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗳𝗂 and substreams, maybe I'll put 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗳𝗂 on the spot, or Juan if he's still here as well. I don't see the full list of people. Juan is not here, so Petko, do you want to give a quick status update on substreams and 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗳𝗂?
Amazing. Love to be put on the spot. Yes. So on 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗳𝗂 specifically, I know that the good folks at GraphOps will start white glove sessions with the first providers that they mean to sort of onboard. But that's actually like the 𝗨𝘀𝗲 data service will be further down the line than the substreams data service. The substreams data service is in a pretty stable MVP stage thanks to Juan. So yeah, stay tuned for deployments of those contracts on chain soon-ish, and then it will be time to onboard the first indexers once that's live. So exciting times. And by the way, just at the deployment or like the deployment of the substream data service contracts, I think, is planned for this quarter. So yeah, exciting times.
Cool. I'll drop for another call.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today, and thank you so much, Orion, Slim, for going through all of the liquid staking updates there, and also Petko, thanks for sharing a bit of the update there. Eugene is just saying, 𝗨𝘀𝗃 specifically, we're looking to onboard providers and align GTM efforts on substreams. We're making progress, almost finished on the MVP. Amazing. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining today's IOH. I hope you found insightful and helpful. And let's see, any discussion in the chat? No. Okay. And we'll see you again same time next week for another edition of Index Office Hours. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.